be getting home. So thank you for coming along this evening for what, as I say, we've rather grandly called coaching clinic. But basically, the coaching and leadership team, we had a little meeting back in September, and we wanted to be able to offer a few more things to you as club members, insights into things, discussion points, just to sort of add value to what we do at our training sessions. And the thought of having some of these kind of informal chats about various topics, and hopefully quite diverse topics around running, training, and all that side of it would be a helpful thing. So thank you for coming on for the first while. As I say, please feel free to contribute. I'm gonna wrap it on for about 5 minutes with a few thoughts. Then I'm going to throw it open for any contributions from you, and then Naomi is going to do a bit on tech and how to get the most out of all of that side of things. So without further ado, I will start on with my bit, which I've, again, rather grandly titled. I'm going to feel quite grand tonight, so I hope you don't, I'm a natural show-off, so you'll get used to it. I've called this Running Mindset and Body Awareness. How you can make sure your training is effective and safe, leading to sustainable, healthy performance. So we wanted to discuss that topic because of the importance of a healthy and safe approach to running, and most particularly our responsibility as a coaching team to support you all in that way. So what do we mean by running mindset? For me, it's the intent behind your training, and then importantly, the application of that intent. So an example might be, I want to train hard all the time and keep getting quicker, which means you push hard, never missing a chance to train, and are constantly striving for a PB by entering races all the time. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Yeah, a few people, that is a familiar mindset that they might have thought about. Now listen, mindset is broad brush, but it does then naturally lead on to more specific goals. So, for example, I want to run a sub 45-minute 10K. However, in this way, different mindsets can still have the same goal. So again, for example, taking that goal of a 45-minute 10K, a different mindset to that might be, I want to enjoy my running development, feeling good about myself when I see improvements. Now, why is this important? Why is your mindset important? Well, I'm not actually sure that as runners we always dial into what our mindset actually is. And this simple act of awareness will lead to crucial insights and therefore decisions that you make. Remember what I said about the application of your training intent. Certain mindsets can lead to decisions that have potentially bad outcomes. An obvious example of this is pushing through a niggle or an illness, which might be a decision with that first mindset that I described. And this could lead to serious injury or even chronic ill health. Now, without naming anyone, I have seen many examples of both of these during my time at this club, and I include myself in that bracket as well. Now, we are all trained to be athlete-led coaches, so I would never try and impose a mindset or attitude on anyone. And anyway, imposing mindsets really never works, as any of us who have got or have had teenage children will know all too well. But our job as a coaching team is to raise awareness of the impact and the implications, and to suggest strategies to help with adopting a healthy mindset. So that leads on to the second part of the title of this segment, which is body awareness. That's kind of what it says on the tin, understanding and listening to your body, but crucially, responding to those signals. Now, of course, some of this is intuitive. We all know when something hurts. And some of this, though, comes from experience and learning from mistakes. For me, though, dialing into your running mindset can significantly improve your response to those signals. But the relationship goes the other way too. Applying a bit of discipline with body awareness will inform our mindset, forming a virtuous circle. Sometimes it's as simple as giving ourselves permission to listen to those signals from our body. For example, it is not a sign of weakness to miss a day or two of training because we're feeling run down and tired. And you only need to enact that once and then feel the benefits to feel much more confident in doing so again. But this has all been a bit theoretical. But what practical steps can we take to improve our body awareness and to dial into our mindset? Well, first of all, it's coming along to events like this. So congratulations on taking your first steps towards a beautiful mindset. But seriously, talking to others and sharing experience is crucial, and it's what is so beneficial about being a member of a club like this, where you can access coaches and runners with a huge wealth of experience. So ask those questions, have those discussions, learn from others, and share your experiences as well. That's what we're all about here. The second point I've got is increasing your awareness around goals and planning well for them. In another coaching clinic, I will go into this in more detail. But for now, let's circle back to that sub 45-minute 10K goal. Your first point of awareness is where you are now. If your PB is, say, 46 minutes, 30 seconds, you're quite new to running, and you've been improving all the time, then a bit of consistent training and carrying on with what you're doing will make this goal look attainable over a relatively short period, just with that sound training. However, if your current PB is around 50 minutes and you've been running a while and you've not improved your pace very much recently, then a different approach is needed. Maybe a 12-month plan, which addresses more fundamental aspects of your running. So as I said, we'll go into more detail another time about how understanding your goal translates into planning over the long, mid and short term. But the key thing about this approach, which I want you to take away from this session and consider, is trying to be aware about what each run or other training session that you do is for. What's its purpose? Ask yourself that question. Have that thought with yourself, or indeed, ask one of the coaches or somebody else. Now this could be very specific. It might be, I want to do 4 mile reps at a hard but consistent pace. Or it might be very general. I want to enjoy a chilled run on a lovely route with good friends. But keeping that purpose in mind immediately impacts mindset and body awareness, and then heightens your responsiveness, as we spoke about earlier. So this leads me on to another point around goals. And most of us will, at one time or another, have race goals, which are often time-specific. Now this is great, and it provides motivation and focus which we all need to get out training and do well and enjoy it. My advice, though, is always to have some other goals which are less narrow and specific. This might be, I'm going to run 4 times a week, or I'm going to do 2 strength and conditioning sessions a week, or even more generally, I'm going to enjoy running with friends, or I'm going to feel liberated when I run. In fact, having at least one really openly phrased goal like that, which you keep referring to, will, I believe, significantly aid your mindset. In fact, goals like that sound a lot like my definition of a mindset itself. And it will also improve your body awareness, making you a happier, healthier runner. And this, of course, leads on to the increase of the chance of success in your more specific goal. So all of this can be very hard to monitor. Spoken of, there's lots of things in here. So my final tip is to write the training log. Now there are loads of ways to do this. You might have an old-fashioned notebook, you might use a spreadsheet, or you can on Strava. They've got a box for private notes which don't get shared with everybody else, which you can say how you feel about your run. But however you do it, just taking a moment to reflect on the run and then being able to refer back to them later on will just up that awareness and help you check in with how you're feeling and what, if anything, you might want to change. So that's enough from me from now. I wanted to open up to anyone else to share any experience, thoughts, or ask questions. Anything from the floor. Any thoughts? Michelle?
You knew I was going to be one.
I knew you were going to be one, but that's,
yeah.
yeah.
Right, so that's all great, fantastic, but how do we cope with the power struggle in our mind, okay, of like, even if you go with a positive mindset, and also I've obviously this year been impacted quite bodily through emotion, how do we just get over this mindset of going, well, you're still rubbish, or you still haven't reached that, or, you still didn't feel great at the end of it?
Yeah, so my thought on that is by having that range of different goals, different things that you can refer to. Because yeah, at certain times, you're not going to be able to be running as fast as you might want to be, because you're tired, you've got lots of other things going on, impacting, as you say, personal things, stress, all of that. But if you can frame what you want your running to be in other ways, that's going to give you that ability to actually find the positive from that run, to focus in on that and allow you to keep a mindset that says, yeah, no, this is okay. I'm okay with what I'm doing now. And if I actually just focus on this bit, the other things will come. So that's how I would approach that. And that's why for me, being aware of mindset, but also those broader, less specific goals, can be so helpful in that sort of holistic view of what we're trying to achieve as runners. Helen?
I find it useful when I look back at a run. I always find there's always something positive to find in a run, whether it was a segment or, I don't know, as you say, running with friends. So I find that helps me, not all of the time, but to try and find a positive.
Yeah.
If you think at the point it didn't go that well, but you look back and, well, actually, I achieved this.
And often the positive can be as simple as I got out and went for a run.
Well, yes.
I mean, I don't know how many of you, I know certainly you've had a blooming hard day at work. All you want to do is go, you feel rubbish, you want to go home and just sit and watch box sets on the telly. But you turn up and you run, and how much better you feel after that, despite thinking you wouldn't. Yeah? And those are some of the runs. And I say this sometimes with marathon training. The runs that are a struggle, but that you do and you get through, those are the ones that you can dial into in the race itself. When you can turn around when you're struggling at one point, you say, yeah, but I was struggling on that Thursday night, and I went and I did it, and I got it done. And you know you've got that in you. And that's not about having a mindset that's so focused on going, I've just got to keep training hard. It's about knowing that being consistent and being in tune with what you need on that particular moment is what can sustain your training across a block. Any other thoughts or any points you want to make? I hope what I said made some sort of sense. You know, you write this stuff down and you hope that it will have a fluidity. But so what I'm really asking of you all is to just have that, take that step back occasionally, look away from the times, the pace, the stats, and actually go dive into two things. First of all, you know, what is my intent with all of this? What am I trying to do? And then being aware of that and what impact is that having? And asking yourself the question, is this doing me good? Is the fact that I want to keep on training, but I've had this painful knee, is this doing me good, or am I going to have worse trouble down the line? Or do I need to take a different approach? Do I need to think about how I might be able to manage that while still getting the fulfillment that I need from my running and approaching it from a different angle? And for me, the key is just that awareness, asking yourself, having those moments of self-reflection. I mean, I think a lot of us, you know, that's something we can have in all aspects of our life, taking that moment just to look back in and say, right, what went well? What did this mean? How did it make me feel? Questions like that, which I think can be, you know, incredibly valuable. But they're questions that you can share with the coaches and the leaders as well. If there's something that doesn't make sense, even on that, after that sort of moment of having a think, oh, yeah, but I'm still not quite sure what I need to do now. That is what we are here for, so I hope that you'll feel comfortable doing so. Anything else? Yeah, Roland.
Yeah, no, I like that thing you taught me when I first joined the club, the 80-20 rule, where I thought I'd have to come to the running club and really like bust the gut every single time. But then it's quite nice to know that you don't need to do that to get faster. You want to run 80% of your runs like at a comfortable pace, and that is actually going to help you. And it's actually a detriment to try and run really hard all the time. I think that's what you said.
No, it's true. And actually, thank you for saying that, because I'm hoping that these little clinics and the videos will have a flow across the year. And having sort of started off with this kind of rather broad, sort of slightly fluffy mindset thing, to get into some of those specifics about how you might train effectively will lead on from that. But I wanted to get this aspect of it sort of ingrained first, because for me, that's a really helpful way to understand why running like that is actually good for you, because you've got to be in the right place to be brave enough in many ways to take those approaches. Naomi. Did you have your hand up, or were you just stretching?
Oh no, I was just stretching.
You were stretching. I want to stretch, but that's the perfect moment. Unless anybody else wants to add in, to hand over to Naomi to talk through how to use your tech most effectively. Naomi.
So we've got some guides on how to kind of use your lap functions better for our interval training, and also for anyone with a watch, you can do it to be able to upload routes and navigation onto your watch. So I thought we'd do some worked examples maybe at the end, because I know some of you already know how to do it and can perhaps help other people who haven't used the apps before to do those functions. So I thought we'd start with talking about laps, the lap function on your watch and how it's useful. So if you're just using your watch normally, you select the run workout and you want to use the lap key, it's normally this one. Are most people familiar with using the lap key, or does anyone never use the lap key?
It's funny because Jade and I were talking about it in the run, and she was saying, I'm not sure how to use it. My lap key.
So nearly all watches, I think all our watches will have the lap key. So what it does is it kind of records every time you press it, it will record for that segment your pace and the time and distance done. So if you do a warm-up before you're going into maybe your first interval of the interval session, you can press it and it will record that as a lap, and then it will record your kind of say your 600 metre rep, and then you press it at the end of your 600 metre rep, and then you can time your recovery, whether that's static or a jog recovery. You can time that as your next lap and press the lap key. So you kind of get an idea of each lap, your pace, and then you get your recovery times on there. So that's how you kind of use the lap key. Some people like to record if I run from home to the club or club to the rep session, I always record that because I like to see my whole run and how far I went. So I will record the warm-up as part of that session, but I know some people like to record the warm-up and cool down separately. I know Helen does. But they're making reasons for that. But I suppose one thing to note is, don't worry with our rep sessions, don't worry too much about the overall pace that Strava says that you got for the session, because they will all have different types of recovery in them, and so that kind of pace is not relevant. It's more about getting the detail of each rep, and some of the reps are shorter, some have static recovery, so there isn't really, even the overall pace that you do your effort sections at isn't really that relevant. It's useful, but it doesn't really kind of mean anything, even if Strava tells you that you did. We've come quite a long way with this since I started. So some people used to record their reps, but each rep would be a separate run. So we'd see Strava at the end of the session and they'd have 12 600 metre reps. And I suppose it's quite hard to really look back and see how well you did. Another thing is you can't really time your recoveries, because I used to do that and then get my phone out to be like, oh, I need to time my recovery now. And you miss that detail from when you look back and being able to see it all. It's nice when you use the laps to be able to look in Garmin and you see all the laps that you did. Another thing I would say, don't be tempted to do is, some people pause it for the recoveries, and then you see this run. Okay, Robert Bowler did it the other day. It had like a 7:30s or 8-minute miles for the mile reps, but it looked like he'd just done 5 miles all at once, but actually he'd had a break in between. So again, it's saying that don't worry about the overall pace that Strava tells you you've done. It's more about getting the detail in there. So using the lap key helps you just look back and get kind of detail in the run. So to go and review your laps, for anyone who uses it, you probably know in Garmin there's a tab across and you get like lap 1, lap 2, lap 3, lap 4, lap 5. So something I copied when I started doing this properly from Gareth Tucker actually is taking screenshots of them and put them in Strava as photos. It's a bit crude, but it's probably the easiest way to review them, and when you're looking back, and I like to look at other people who've done that. Kim does that as well, and quite a few other people. But I did notice recently that if anyone who has paid Strava, it kind of interfaces the laps from Garmin into Strava, so you can click on, where did we do it, Helen? I've got the paid, I'm trying the paid one just because I thought.
Workout analysis.
So you click that and then that displays all the reps for you. So that's for people who've got the paid one, they can see their own and you can see theirs. You can't see theirs if they haven't paid just to and then the next step of that is there is a version of, so you can do workouts on your watch, so you can set the watch to know when you're going to do, it tells you when to start your warm up, start your first lap and time everything for you, and you can program those. So there's a way you can program it in your watch, but I don't think, that sounds quite fiddly to me. And there's also a way that I don't know if anyone would ever do now, which is from a laptop or desktop version.
Yes, so just to go on that, the workout, sorry, because Andrew's my technical guru on the running side of things, I'll admit openly. If you do it on your desktop in Connect, okay, you can actually program the workouts. So I've got, he's done me pyramids, where it's timed, where we've done time pyramids, and it works out easy if you do it on your desktop, and then not many people have a desktop, and then it's there available to transfer it straight to your watch. It's like if you do GPX files, you now can probably download GPX and put it onto Garmin, and then to your watch from your phone, but if it's a bit fiddly and you're trying to change it for a bit, you can actually, it's better from your desktop to do it from that.
Interesting, because I was just going to say, I would use my phone app, who would use the desktop, but somebody does. So I wondered whether maybe we take that out of the guide, but actually it sounds like some people still use the desktop. So maybe I should have a look.
But certainly, yeah, if you do it in the desktop and then save the workout, it then appears in the app. So you can then easily send it to your phone via the app. But if you prefer to set it up on a big, if you're old like me and can't see very well and like to have a big screen, you can use your desktop to do it.
Okay. And probably the hardest one is going to be doing within the phone, which I've never done.
Yeah.
Like the actual programming it. Again, I think they're most useful for either if you're doing the rep session on your own, because you're not kind of always looking at your watch, it will beep to tell you when to change, although sometimes you want to look at your watch, so you know kind of the tempo thing. And it's more useful for timed sessions, I suppose, maybe where Ed or one of the coaches is going to be blowing the whistle, but you're over the other side and you want to know that you're definitely coming to the end. And I thought for anyone who wants to do it, we'll do next week it's Hollybush reps, so probably not that useful to program that in, but the week after 600 metres, so we can do that as a worked example. For the recovery, we'll probably just do the lap keys to allow you to regroup rather than having a set recovery. The only thing is you do have to choose how many, well, you don't have to, how many reps you want to do. And actually sometimes that's quite good, because I find if I say I'm going to do this many on my watch, I will normally do them.
But I would just
you
on
can
that,
skip them through.
You can skip them, but also if you, of course, if you program in that you're going to do more, then that's fine. Then the only problem comes if you decide you want to do more reps than you've programmed in, then you don't get them. But if you said I'm going to do 16 and then you only do 10, so if in any doubt, program in more. But, yeah.
So that's why I suppose it is most useful in summer when we do the timed ones, because we're all going to do the same thing. Does anyone have any things to add about? Oh, another thing, I used it tonight, I actually just said before we started, because for our tempo sessions we should be doing a warm-up that's easy, and like you said, Ronan, the warm-up contributes to your 80, so it's definitely worth doing. And then we should have a tempo section, which I think everybody did properly tonight, and then a cool down at the end. So I lapped mine after the warm-up. So I know that my pace of the tempo is 8:22, which I was really pleased with, and the warm-up and cool down were much slower. So it's quite useful for the tempo, I think. If you're doing whole miles for the warm-up, you can tell, but it's quite useful for that. Does anyone have any lap things that they think are useful to share?
No, I think the thing about, I really like that last point, when you want to get a discrete period of time where you can be really conscious of what your pace is, that's something we don't tend to think of with the watch so much. You might think of doing it for your 600 reps, but but for other things. And so, and the thing to bear in mind with that is if you want to do that, it's worth turning off the auto lap. Because how many of you use auto lap to beep every mile?
I think
Which
that's
you,
the default setting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think if you press your lap button, it will restart. It will override it basically. Is there any problem if your lap is
longer than a mile. So that's what I mean. So if it was say a 30-minute tempo effort where it was going to be longer than a mile, then you would get the ones in between, which isn't a disaster. But if you want to know a longer block of time,
you can, after you've done it, though, you can go into the laps and change what they are. Can you merge laps?
I don't know.
that's one to try and find out. That's
I was going to
advanced.
say, I probably wouldn't have it on auto lap, just because Strava always tells you that anyway, the 1, 2, 3, so I don't find it useful to do every mile. But some people might be, if your rep's longer than a mile, it goes a bit funny. And our warm-up quite often is around a mile.
So the only other thing I'd want to add in is, how many of you have explored how to set up different data fields on your watch face? That's something to have a look at, because you can choose what you see on your watch face and you can scroll between them. So you can have distance, you can have average pace, total pace, heart rate, all sorts of different things. And you can have, on most of the Garmin, you can have quite a few of them, which you can scroll between. So you could think about, what might I want to see on this particular run, and choose the appropriate, data screen for that run and flick onto that. So that's something I think, in most of them, when you click into your run, I'm just going to see how we're doing now, you then click which one is it for the, no, not that, you see, I won't be able to do it now, I've said I was going to do it. What should I do? Oh, the top left, no, it's not the top left. Bottom left, is it?
Bottom left, it's got to see different screens while you're running.
Yes.
Yeah, bottom left.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, find out whatever it is, the way that you can then access the different bits of data for how you set up your run. And the data screens is a really useful one, and really worth having a look at as well. I didn't explain that very well, did I? But never mind.
That's a good point. For anyone who hasn't used the lap key before, when you press it, you do need to go down on your watch face, because otherwise the first screen will show you from the beginning of the run, and then the down will show you just for that lap. So it's useful to go
I've done it now.
down to that.
So you get to the bit where it says, run, and then you press, for me it's the middle button, press and hold, and that brings up run settings. You press run settings, then you get data screens, and you can piss about with your data screens. Enjoy it, you can kill hours of time. You don't need box sets, just set up different data screens on your Garmin. Anyway, there we are.
So the next bit I was going to talk about is navigation on the watch. So all of our Garmin watches, which most of us have, will have the ability to access the GPS coordinates, so it knows where we are, and it knows how fast we're going, to give us our pace and how many miles we've done. And then certain models, if you've got one of those models, you might know that it used to be only the very kind of high-end ones, the most expensive ones, but quite a lot of them are having it now. Those models have the ability to download the directions and the map onto the watch that will work in combination with your GPS. And I think as a coaching team, I think we know that quite a few people have these fancy watches, but maybe have never got round to doing the navigation step. There's quite a few steps to work through, but all of the routes that we use are on the Gauge Value website, and all you have to do is, once you've got it set up, you can, in a few steps, get them onto your watch if it's got navigation. Some models just have the, Kim used to have this watch, I think, where it just has the arrow that points to you, which and does it beep when you're getting close? It just has the directions, and then, but more of the models have the whole map. So as a coaching team, we'd quite like to get as many people, like if people have got the functionality, to get everybody hopefully using it, because it will help with kind of leading sessions on Thursday. I'd probably say, I thought, I've got the maps, I bought the expensive watch, so I can lead a session and it's fine. But actually you do have to get used to the maps a little bit, and when it beeps at you, and also going between the watch faces, because when I had the map on, I was trying to do a tempo, and like you don't actually know that if you've got the map on, you can't see the pace you're going, so you either have to be really good at knowing your pace, or potentially like scrolling between the screens, and then you just have to get used to how many presses you need to get to back to the
Without running into a lamp.
Yes.
Sorry, running into a lamp post.
Health and
or
safety.
something.
Thank you. The welfare officer speaks.
Another thing I find is, I think I realised that sometimes I'll go like that, and the map will like move, and I think it's supposed to be like that. I don't know if anyone's really good at using the maps. But sometimes you think, oh, we're going in this direction, because you twist your arm, and I think the map kind of swivels like this. And so I think when I was doing it on Tuesday, I was trying to have it like this, and I think it probably knows the right direction, because I have had the maps, but there was in the wrong direction. I think that they do work quite well in summer. I know it's footpaths and it's not perfect, but I think, yeah, some of them that I would never have been able to follow otherwise, I have been able to follow the GPS. So I thought I think next Thursday, Stop Green, I thought we'd do that one for anyone who wants to. Like at the end, we can just do little huddles maybe, rather than dictating step by step. But did anyone have any other kind of techie things to share about
The bit I found on the maps was good, that when I got photos online, you couldn't necessarily see the colour. When it's showing you where to go on the map, it was similar to the colour of the road. So you actually can change the colour of the route that you selected. So you can make like a bright red or a bright yellow, which makes it stand out from the actual road.
Oh, how do you do that?
In one of the settings you can go into.
On the watch or in the app?
In the app.
Okay, I might do that because I know what you mean.
When it's
Sometimes
dark and you're looking at it quickly, it doesn't necessarily stand out from the actual map, but where the actual route is. So you can change the route colour to make it stand out.
okay. Thank you.
What I find useful, I've not used navigation that much actually, to be honest, but what I find quite useful on Garmin, if you do go out for a run, for example, and it did happen to me before where I've taken a path that I wasn't sure where it's going, or I wasn't sure where I'm going to end up. There's a function in watch that takes you to the start of your route. You can press take me to the start of the route or something like that, and it will map out the quickest route to where you started. So it's sort of, to me, like if you're not sure where you are, it's quite nice if it takes you sort of back. So that's something that I've used a couple of times when I got lost.
That seems really very handy if you're out and about and at high level and the front comes in, you can't see where you're going. It's better to go down the hill than it is to carry on up to go into the rain. So back to start is a very useful function that people should work out.
Oh, thank you. I haven't used that. I've seen it, but I didn't really know what it did.
I also have mine set up so when I'm running, my husband gets an alert and can see where I am at any time. So if I'm running alone and I don't want that.
Yeah.
That's a very good
That's
thing.
from Garmin,
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if he'd come looking for me, but
Well, no. The intent is there.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
you never know your job.
I think that comes to when you set up the watch, when you get like you can set it obviously at any time, but it's like when you first link your watch to the app, it does ask you if you want to do that from memory. I remember once when I did go for a run, I took my watch off just because I think I sort of fell and it was muddy, and I just took my watch off so it didn't recognize any more heart rate, and my husband got an alert that I've fallen, or I basically it didn't recognize any more heart rate, and he got alert from Garmin, and he's saying you know that I have basically
Did he come and find you?
yeah come and find me. It showed on his phone, came up with a location.
I've got a
Where I
feeling.
am.
I've got a feeling it only works if you've got your phone with you as well.
Yeah, it might do. I'm not quite sure. I did have a phone on me because I was on my own, but I literally just took my watch off because I thought it was mud behind it. It bothered me. I just wanted to wipe it. And then he rang me saying, "I've just got a text from Garmin saying to come and find you. Are you okay?"
No, Helen, you're right. Any of that functionality will
Yeah.
only work if you have a phone, because the Garmin can't send a signal to somebody else's phone. It has to be linked to your phone. So, I mean, yes, I mean, I think as a basic safety point, if ever you're out running on your own, particularly off-road, always take a phone with you. You know, now that we have them, there are so many different ways to be able to carry them now, from amazing shorts which have their built-in patches to a good old-fashioned rucksack. But yeah, take a phone.
I was just going to say, the thing I find most useful about the navigation is that if you're just somewhere random, you know, like you've gone on holiday or you're just visiting somebody and you want to go for a run, if you go to Strava and just look at routes near me, you just find a route near you, you transfer it to your watch, and you know your way around. You know, like you can just follow that route. You can like find an 8-mile route around here. It'll be ones that locals know and do a lot.
Yeah, same place, isn't it?
Just download it for all wherever.
You have to pay for the.
Is that
Without paying Strava.
Is that map built?
It's just on the.
The heat map.
Well, you can look at the heat map
Yeah.
and see where it is, but
Yeah.
you can also just do routes near me. And for everybody who's published routes, it gives you a list
Yes.
of routes. And you can follow them.
Yeah, I think that is on the page, but
Yeah.
how much is
Free
the page
trial,
now?
So you could do that for your holiday. Have a free trial.
No excuse for not going for a run when you're on holiday.
Yeah, but I think possibly Garmin have a similar thing on their free, particularly on their desktop interface. Might have some similar route idea things as well. So if you don't want to do the page Strava, I might be wrong. I'll double check that when I get home. But things like that are a good option, because as I say, it's where people locally have run. You know, it's safe. You're not going to be running into a military zone and stuff like that, which has happened to me once on a run. I suddenly realised I was yeah. So it's not really what you want to do. Yeah.
If you want to do something free, obviously OS Maps you have to pay for, which is good. But the free one I use is called Map My Run. It's sponsored by Under Armour. And yeah, you have to make sure you use OpenStreet, which is sometimes more accurate than OS Maps actually, because everyone gives input to it. So some people have been on the ridiculous routes. That was, they were. We got lost a couple of times, not too bad. But yeah, you can have loads of fun with that, like mapping routes. Then turn it into a GPX file, and you can just load it up to your watch like that. So that's how I did it.
I still don't know how to do that, how to read it or how to use the GPX file. I know that I saw people sharing them on the groups, but no idea what that actually means or is.
So it's just a sort of standard format, and it works across all watches. So yeah, you can.
Ask you later.
I think anyone with a Garmin who's loaded up a GPX file can probably tell you how to do it.
Yeah. I don't know where I put it though. Where do I put it?
Well,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We'll do, as I say, I think Naomi's idea of a few little huddle questions would be a very good one to go through those. And just to say as well, Naomi's made some brilliant notes about all of this, which we'll put up on Facebook as well, so that people can reference them, you know, step-by-step guide for doing these things if you haven't done it before and want to do it, which is absolutely brilliant and super helpful. Anybody else? Big round of applause. Thank you, Naomi. Thank you so much.
We'll see at the end if anyone wants to do the
So that's it for this first one. I wanted to keep it short and sweet. As I say, the hope is that we do a few of these across the year, and that we take some of the themes that we've started here and explore them further, and so it becomes a bit of a library of these things. But importantly, I really want to hear from any of you about things that you want us to talk about and what you want to learn more about. Not necessarily now, but always drop me a message, put something on Facebook, even as simple as, you know, what is VO2 max, or what is, you know, what's my best nutrition for this and that, or anything like that, because we have a wealth of knowledge amongst us, not only from the coaches and the leaders, but as has been proved tonight, amongst the runners, and that's what I really was hoping for tonight. So thank you all for the contributions you've made as we sort of build that knowledge bank amongst us and help us all become better, happier runners. So thank you all, and yeah, if anyone wants to come and do a quick session about how to do a map, or do so, go and ask people. Otherwise, have more cake, have another cup of tea, and I'll see you all next week. Thank you all so much.